I think the shock of the 2024 NFL draft was when, after paying Kirk Cousins a massive contract, the Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. top 10. Didn't seem to make any sense at the time, both of those things combined. But now that Kirk Cousins is playing like a shell of his former self, the Falcons have actually benched him in favor of the rookie Michael Penix Jr. So today we're going to be rebuilding the Atlanta Falcons, seeing if not only we can save their season with Michael Penix Jr., but of course build for the future and make this team a Super Bowl champion. Now, I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I don't know if the 2-12 Giants, in line for the number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick, should be a 77 overall. Man. Madden 25 has frustrated me overall, but we're going to go ahead and generate the best lineup here. Now, Michael Penix Jr. is only a 70 overall with normal development. So, actually developing him in-game could be a little bit challenging. He's 24 years old. There is room to do it. He will not be able to win Rookie of the Year. It could be a little bit challenging to get Michael Penix Jr. upgraded to, a reasonable level. But there are a lot of talented players on this offense, like Longhorn legend Bijan Robinson. Hook 'em. You're probably seeing this after Texas has played Clemson in the college football playoff. I will be devastated if Texas loses, as you guys will probably know. But the O-line, for the most part, looks really, really good. Chris Lindstrom's one of the best guards in the league. Jake Matthews is an 86 overall. Things are good. Bijan's towards a 90. Got a really decent group of receivers if Kyle Pitts could ever get activated. Of course, the Falcons went out and traded for Matt Judon. Jesse Bates is one of the best safeties in the league. Justin Simmons is currently not starting for some reason. That's interesting. I actually want him as a starter, believe it or not. And the big thing hurting this team, at least defensively, they have absolutely no pass rush. One of the worst in the league. The D-line needs to be improved greatly. We might end up seeing a scheme change here at some point. I could deal with Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata at defensive tackle and then move Ebiketie and Judon down. But edge rusher is definitely a need. Bring in another linebacker. Could definitely do with another corner as well. But this pass rush is the biggest problem with this team, I would say. It's got to be fixed. Sponsor of today's video is Underdog, the absolute best way to play daily fantasy sports. And like I did in the last video, I'm going to end up doing multiple entries, 2 3-man entries in this one. I hit on 5 of 6 picks, but only 1 entry out of the last 2. But I've been pretty good lately. This was Monday Night Football. Nearly got there with Juwan Johnson, just unfortunately didn't. But if you're a new customer, make sure to go down in the description. Use code BENGAL when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. New customers get a free pick. It's Patrick Mahomes to get higher than 0.5 total yards. Or rushing, passing combined. If he has 1 yard or more, you're a winner on that pick. If you live in any of these states that are yellow, you can play Classic Pick'em. If you live in one of the green states, you can play Pick'em Champions. If you live in one of the gray states, you cannot, unfortunately. As you can see over my right shoulder, left shoulder here from your perspective. Same thing with New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. These are my entries, though. Pat Freiermuth, we're going big tight end theme here on Christmas Day. Higher 29.5 receiving yards. Dalton Schultz, higher 33.5 receiving yards. Mark Andrews scored a touchdown. He's done so in 4 consecutive games. It's an all tight end slip. Can I make a joke in there? We're going to pass on it. I've also got this one if you don't like those. You can mix and match. But these are some that I feel good about. Playing the matchups, playing the trends, and the tight ends are all in a really, really good spot, by the way. Najee Harris, lower, 11.5 rushing attempts. Seems like he's taking the backseat to Jalen Warren. CJ Stroud, higher, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Same for Lamar Jackson. Just seem to be pretty good matchups overall. And use code BENGAL. Link is down in the description. Let me know if I make you some money. Hopefully I don't lose you any. Link down in the description. Remember to use code BENGAL. In terms of the Kirk Cousins contract in-game, there's actually not much we can do about it right now. The penalty for moving him is $89 million. right now. Now, there's a little bit more flexibility in real life, especially after this season. Like, the guarantees actually are not necessarily crazy. So 90 of the 180 million for 4 for Kirk Cousins was guaranteed at sign. 100 is guaranteed overall. After 2025, they have an out in the contract for 35 mil dead cap, according to Spotrac. But in game, I'm curious how exactly this is going to work out. We might just end up being stuck with Kirk Cousins for the duration, which would complicate things a little bit, as we just lost 21-0 to the Giants. Okay, Falcons playbooks might be really, really bad. Oh my god. 21-0? I would kill for that, but the Giants absolutely suck. That's another loss. Well, it looks like Michael Penix Jr. is not going to be the franchise savior, at least not in year one for these final couple of games. And that's going to be the end of season number 1. Not going to be a playoff team. Maybe if we won out, there's a possibility. But 3 straight losses, including 2 to the Giants and Panthers, is typically not going to put you into the playoffs. So, it's not happening. That is a heck of a way to end the season. And, I mean, this really could have been a playoff team, I believe. Like, if this team won out, you know, go 10-7 as opposed to 7-10, I feel like that's a playoff team. Although it actually, no, it would have been close because, no, the Commanders are the 7 seed at 11-6. No, so we would have missed the playoffs regardless, I guess. So maybe it's better to lose out. I mean, you never really want to lose, but I guess our draft position improved slightly. Penix actually didn't play all that badly. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, had 661 yards passing. Like, I would say outperformed Kirk Cousins, a slightly higher passer rating. Fewer yards per attempt, obviously far fewer yards per game. But it's his first few starts. You know, we can't really, you know, take too much stock in that necessarily. Hopefully we saw enough flashes to feel good about him as the starter moving forward. And that's, of course, what's going to happen. Michael Penix Jr. in at quarterback. And we're going to probably bring in some new coordinators. And by that, I mean we're going to change the playbook. We're going to get Kyle Pitts going. The Penix to Pitts connection is going to be incredible for us. Bijan Robinson hopefully will be highly productive still. The offensive line's really good. The defense is one area where I absolutely want to fix this team. Chiefs drop 50 on Seattle in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP. Josh Allen wins NFL MVP. And these are actually some very interesting yearly awards because I think Josh Allen could win MVP. I think it's between him probably and Lamar Jackson. Saquon in the mix probably. Joe Burrow probably in the top 5. But I think Allen and Lamar are going to be the front runners for that. Don't know that Andy Reid's going to win Coach of the Year because the expectations for the Chiefs are always so high. But, I mean, Saquon probably wins Offensive Player of the Year because they're like, who cares if a quarterback plays offense? MVP is the QB award. Offensive players are excused to do MVP to a different position, even though quarterbacks also win that quite a bit. But, yeah, I mean, I could see Josh Allen winning that for sure. I just don't get how a player can be MVP, play offense, and not also be Offensive Player of the Year. It doesn't really make sense if you think about it, but I also don't think MVP should be just a QB award, but I also think that QB is the most valuable position, therefore that the best quarterback in the league is the most valuable player. I don't know. Xavier McKinney could definitely win Defensive Player of the Year. He's been great this season, has a lot of interceptions, but has just played well outside of that. Jaden Daniels, I think, will be the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Jared Verse, I think, will be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. It'll be really interesting to see how things end up shaking out. It would be a little bit surprising to see McKinney get it over a pass rusher. I mean, Nick Bonito's making a really strong case. I mean, you look at Denver, Pat Surtain pre-injury was making a really strong case, I think, as well. TJ Watt, of course, always in the conversation. But that is season number 1. Now, when you start from the actual week, if you don't know how to do that, I'm sure I'm going to get comments, questions, and concerns on this video. You just start and you choose online, and then you pick what week you want. That gives you the option to jump in from a specific week. You just do that. And the draft class is the same every time for that particular week. So if you wanted to jump in the same week that I am, you would get this exact same draft class. So spoiler alert, I suppose. But where are we going to be picking right now? Number 12. I guess defensive tackle would be in play. We need to improve the pass rush. I keep saying it, but I wholeheartedly believe it. And I'm not immediately seeing what looks like a guaranteed difference maker in the class. I mean, like Gavin Darby from SC looks pretty good just initially. Is he a good enough athlete? Maybe. I don't know. Hopefully we'll find somebody that we can feel really good about. I wouldn't mind trading up. Walt Fleming looks pretty good. Would especially fit if we stay in the 3-4, but might be just big enough to also play defensive end. I'm looking for an elite athlete with elite ability, and I'm not necessarily finding that at this point. 22 players ready to negotiate contract extensions, or in the case of Drake London picking up his 5th-year option. Is that going to be the move? It probably will be. He's just going to be more expensive to retain, but it's going to be expensive either way. We'll just keep it what it is for now. I think for these next couple of years, it's going to be so important to manage our funds really well with this Kirk Cousins contract kind of being an albatross, kind of hurting the rest of the team. You can see we only have $22 million in 2025 cap room, which means that Justin Simmons is gone. I'd like to keep Drew Dahlman. I think we're going to be able to do that. I'm thinking a 5-year contract for the 26-year-old. He's our starting center. Richie Grant is going to have to be gone. Judon is Jugon. Rondell Moore, hit the door. I mean, these guys, I'm so sorry about this. But these guys are just not going to be impactful players. The Offord's a decent player in real life. I feel like 72 overall feels a bit low for a good slot, but he's 27 years old, not a very good overall in the game. I'm not especially interested in him or really anybody else here. You know, regression is hitting a lot of those guys pretty hard. You got to factor in the age. You got to factor in the dev trait. Maybe we could bring back Justin Simmons now for another year. I don't want to really do more than that, but he's going to test free agency. I'm really not mad about that. $15 million in cap room is not a lot, obviously. Could potentially consider saving and rolling it over. That's a possibility. Kirk regressed big time. Penix Jr. has received no upgrades. So that's a little perplexing. I would say the offense looks good. I mean, it's going to look a little bit different here in a moment. And then defensively, it's still the same deal. Improve the D-line, improve the team. I don't really think we're going to be in the mix for any free agent. And to be honest, no one is really worth going after outside of maybe Nick Bolton, who doesn't really want to be here. Is there anything I can do to make you change your mind? You like a career win percentage for a head coach. Well, it makes sense coming from the Chiefs, I suppose. But with Raheem Morris in Tampa and now Atlanta, that's not exactly something we can sell. We could potentially just give him a lot of money. Nick Bolton would be a great add to the defense and help us facilitate a move to a 4-3. But it doesn't look like we're going to have the best package, you know, to get him at all. I mean, I don't really want to give $15 million a year. We just don't have the cap room. Should be fairly close. It says remaining cap $3 million, but obviously that's not quite the case. That's about the best offer we can make currently, but it doesn't seem to get us anywhere near where we would need to be. 22 teams are interested. That might be the top free agent. I don't really want to pay more than that. I don't think we have the capability. We cut anybody and save money. Ooh, Grady Jarrett. Caleb McGarry. David Onyemata. We can save money. Jarrett might end up being a tradable player. Same thing with McGarry. I think these guys are somewhat replaceable. Onyemata, obviously, we have no real attachment to. And we need to do whatever we can to save a little bit of money in this case. So we might actually look for a trade if we can. McGarry should have some value. Maybe not a ton, but a little bit. Larrick Jackson maybe is interesting to me. But can we add Grady Jarrett and get anything here? I think what I'm going to want to do is move him to defensive tackle. And that probably bumps up his overall and maybe his value as a result. I think we're going to end up doing this. Grady Jarrett and Caleb McGarry to get Darnell Wright. He's an 81 overall, only 24 years old. Should be under contract for the next couple of seasons. Yes. And we'll have the 5th-year option, of course, as well. He's obviously quite affordable right now. Former top 10 pick, or maybe number 11. I think he was number 9, though. I don't know, something in that range. I can't remember if the Bears, they moved down and then back up. I can't quite remember. But in that range of maybe pick number 8 to 12, something in there. But I think number 9, the more I think about it. He was top 10. Can we get a better pick, though? Jarrett, McGarry, or Darnell Wright in a second is not quite enough. What if I moved to 3rd? Okay, not quite. I guess I would do straight up. They offered a 7th. I'm not really that interested. I mean, it's an extra pick to fill a roster spot, I suppose, but not really too much of a deal for me. So we actually save a ton of money by doing that. And overall upgrade, yeah, the D-line looks worse, but it's already not good. Ruka Rororo probably moves into a starting role. I think we're going to move to a 4-3. That's going to push him over to defensive tackle. I'm going to move David Onyemata to defensive tackle and then try to trade him as well. The value on him is going to be, extremely low. But I would take, if I could get, like, any mid-round pick, I'd be pretty excited about it. Even something on day 2, if I could get a 3rd-round pick, I think I would be thrilled. But it might have to be David Onyemata plus a 4 to get, a 3. That would be cool, or even a 2 would be amazing. David Onyemata and a 5th gets me a 3rd. It's about the best thing I can do. I don't really have any attachment to guys like Arnold Ebiketie here. Troy Anderson would have been nice to develop because he's such an amazing athlete. It's just obviously not going to happen at this point. He's 26 years old, normal dev, 70 overall. Best case scenario, Troy Anderson becomes like a 78. If everything goes well for us here, that's the best case scenario. And it's hard to even conceive of a scenario where that happens. We've freed up money. We could potentially offer Nick Bolton a mega deal, but at what point does it not make sense financially for us? It's already crazy expensive, right? And he already has a ton of value outside of money. Or he has a lot of things that he values outside of money. It's just a particularly tough ask for us to go out and get him. Maybe Tutu Atwell can be a 3rd receiver for us. He's not especially expensive, and he has interest in Atlanta, so maybe we'll try that. But there just is not a lot here. And there's not a lot of interest from a lot of these players. Isaiah Simmons is an interesting option at linebacker. Maybe we'll offer him. He's just not the same player that he used to be in Madden. Not that he, unfortunately, ever developed into much in real life. And we do need more on the defensive line. Offer on DJ Jones just to get something in the mix. It's way cheaper than what we were paying before. And we're going to have to draft defensive linemen. And we'll see what happens here. I don't think we're going to get Bolton. We're not going to get Tutu Atwell. We do get Isaiah Simmons and DJ Jones, though. I guess I can pretend to be excited about that. It's not particularly exciting, but again, I can pretend. Hassan Reddick down to a 78 overall. Normal dev. It's hard to find players that are actually interested in being a part of the program. Levante David wants to be here. You know what? Maybe for a year. That makes sense. I don't really mind offering the 1-year deals. Yet, of course, takes our cap room down. But if they can help us out for a year, we're trying to win. We get David, we get Simmons, we get DJ Jones. So That's going to have to be about good for us right now. Keenan Allen for a year maybe is interesting. This is a third receiver. Man, he's been a big disappointment in Chicago. He probably doesn't sign, though. Yeah, he doesn't. Maybe we'll draft a receiver. It's not really an especially big need, so not super attached to it. But we will head to the draft. That's what's next. Pass rush. Just D-line. Linebacker. Could consider a receiver. I really feel strongly about the O-line with the addition of former top 10 pick Darnell Wright. And I think the offense is about good. Can't really do much with Kirk Cousins. I would have loved for him to retire. Got J.D. Bertrand. Did the Falcons draft him? Why did I feel like that? I don't know. I felt like he went somewhere else. Well, all right. Guess I just didn't remember that. But defensively, going to go 4-3. This team drafted Brandon Dorless, too. I mean, there's a lot of these 3-4 defensive end types of players that I think could work as 3 techniques. So we are just going to move to a 4-3. We might be a little bit lighter on the interior, but more athletic. And hopefully that gives our pass rush an opportunity to go crazy. We'll see. Right now, I guess we just keep Isaiah Simmons at strong safety. The defense looks really, really bad. But this is what we're dealing with. Could use a big pass rusher, obviously. I mean, there are some draft prospects that I think I liked but didn't necessarily love. Like, I could see Braylon Trice being a good starter. That doesn't mean, and that looks nothing like him, but that doesn't mean he is, not upgradable. But he's going to be tough to develop here in the game. In real life, you hope to see him take a big year 2 jump. Braylon Trice, it was a weird thing because he played fine at 270 pounds at Washington. Was a very good player. Like his rush moves were awesome. He had a great pass rush plan, could set up tackles, things like that. However, he dropped a lot of weight, went to the combine, and then was not explosive. So it's like, if you're going to drop all that weight to put on a show and then not even come close to putting on a show, what are we doing? It was bizarre. We're going to look at some pass rushers. It's 2 defensive ends, including the number 1 player in the draft, supposedly, and all the way down to Walt Fleming, who I think I might lean towards. He's an outside linebacker out of Washington, not Braylon Trice, but hopefully somebody that is going to be within our draft range, someone that could come in and make a really big impact. Mock draft 4 is not out yet, but it has Pierre Wesley going number 1 in mock draft 3. Clifton Jackson at number 2. I think those are the 2 we looked at. And then Walt Fleming currently at number 10 to Chicago. Now, the mock draft is not as accurate as it used to be, so that's not exactly something we can really, really trust. We'll take a look at the final mock draft here. How is 4 not out? I don't really get that. You're going to tell me 4 and 5 come out on the same day? Doesn't make any sense. It's another thing that's broken about this game. There's no mock draft 4 now? Okay, well, it's always something. It simply is always something. Round 1 talent on Clifton Jackson. Round 1 talent on Pierre Wesley. Round 2 to 3 grade on Walt Fleming. Well, okay, I guess if we're going to want one of these pass rushers, it's a defensive end inside maybe the top 2. That's a tough move up to make for a not top 5 player in the draft. That's definitely interesting. We'll see how the draft starts. And it's Dylan Spencer, quarterback at number 1 overall. I'm curious, who among these teams would take a defensive end. I think the Patriots could. I think the Titans could. I think the Panthers could. We'll have to see how this ends up going. There's Clifton Jackson off the board. There goes Northcutt, a receiver. The Panthers, of course, are in division with us, but that doesn't mean we can't necessarily trade with them. Pierre Wesley is only 21 years old. I think would be a really good scheme fit. Has elite strength. What are his team fits? Buffalo, Miami, Las Vegas. It's interesting. Now, would the Panthers take him at number 4 overall? It seems like it might be a bit early, but that doesn't mean no. There goes DeMarcus Warmack, another receiver. I think we try and make a trade up with Cleveland here and try to improve that pass rush right now. I know they might not exactly draft him, but that's not the point. We want to solidify the player that we want. I'd love to trade a 3rd round pick in order to do it. It's really close. Okay, maybe a 7th would get this done. Okay, maybe an extra 7th that we would have had if I traded for it from the Darnell Wright trade would have been good. How about a 6th next year? And that trade is accepted. So it's 12, 76, a 7th, and a future 6 to move up to number 5, where we will take what is hopefully a dominant pass rusher for years to come. It's Boston College, Pierre Wesley. Chris Lindstrom, if I recall, was Boston College, so not the first and maybe not even the last time that the Falcons take a Boston College player in the 1st round. F hit power is interesting, but A tackle, A power moves, A awareness, scouting report. Looks pretty good overall, and athletically, he looks pretty good overall. You can't see elite strength, but, you know, good acceleration, good speed. Overall, looks to be a good player. Is he going to be a top 5 guy? No, he's number 13, and we knew he wasn't going to be a top 5 guy. But to get a round 1 talent off the edge, I think that's pretty valuable. It was our biggest area of need, and he is, I think, going to be one of the best players in the draft. I think 75 plus overall comfortably, and we will simulate to round 2, where hopefully we can follow up a pretty good 1st round pick with a really good 2nd round pick, you know, given where we are in this draft. And that's not going to be done by taking a quarterback. There are some players that were expected to go in the 1st round that are still available. Great speed for Brian Claybrooks. B hit power, B man. Zone coverage maybe not amazing, but this is a decent value pick considering what the board is showing. Marcus Stokes has B hit power, B zone, only 21 years old. Skipped the combine, did his pro day, only good speed, but looks pretty balanced. And we are in the market for a safety. Do I take the better athlete, or do I go out and try to get someone that looks a little bit more well-rounded? An elite speed quarterback's actually very interesting. Well, it said quarterback, but this is not a quarterback. This is a middle linebacker. I swear it said QB. Anyway, ran in the 4.5s. Pretty good at 240 pounds. I swear it said quarterback when we sorted by that. Yeah, archetype is field general, maybe is why I thought that. Okay, that can be middle linebacker too. All right, you know what? Where are we here? Round 2 to 3 for Gillisley. Is there any way we can just make a move for both of them? Where's the linebacker here? Right in this range. Is it an either-or situation? Ranked number 75. Not necessarily going to go for a while. Let me see if I can get Miami's pick right behind us and go back-to-back. Let's see what they would want for that, because that wouldn't be the worst thing for us. They want a crazy return. How about a 4 and then a 3 next year? No. It would have been nice, though, if you did. How about a 2 next year? And then I'll add more on top of that, potentially. 2 next year, 3 this year. That trade's going to be accepted. We're going to go back-to-back here. I think, you know, a bird in the hand is worth more than 2 in the bush, right? Somebody said that. It means something. Do we take the shot on Brian Claybrooks? He's a little bit more athletic. Coverage maybe not as good. We're going to take Brian Claybrooks. He's ranked number 42. We took him at 44. Apparently he's fast enough. His zone coverage ability is bad. He does have hidden dev, though, and 92 speed. We'll end up seeing how he compares to the other safety. And then we're going to go back-to-back. We've upgraded the defense in a big way so far. And this middle linebacker will be maybe our best overall pick, all things considered. B-zone, pursuit, tackling is okay enough. Elite speed, A awareness. I think he's going to be a really solid value pick, even at 23 years old. And Roger Goodell is coming out to announce he's ranked number 47. Take him at 45. He's got big hitter, hidden dev, 90 speed, 87 acceleration. Yeah, looks to be a pretty good player. What can we do in round 4 here? Is this a chance to take a receiver? Playmaker archetype, so he's going to be bad at pretty much everything and still have a good overall. That's how playmaker works in this game. I hate that that's always the best archetype. I really do. Do we go out and try to get a receiver? I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in speed. Walter Randall is an elite speed linebacker. 21 years old. I mean, we could use more of those guys. He's a right outside linebacker, though. Fine. Defense, defense, defense. We needed more depth. He's ranked really, really poorly. Well, that's why you don't just draft speed. This isn't Raiders franchise, Al Davis. It's the end of our draft. Draft recap. I think we did pretty well. 76 overall for Pierre Wesley. Only normal dev. How did I miss that before? 81 speed, though. 90 strength. 78 power moves. Block shed, play rec, 69 overall. Nice. I mean, the starting overall is good. The age is good. The depth trade is obviously disappointing. Brian Claybrooks, though, does have hidden. 74 overall hybrid. Zone's actually not that bad at 71. He's going to play strong safety for us. I very much doubt that the overall changes at all from free safety to strong safety. But definitely going to be a move that we make. And then Andrew Gillisley has a chance to start for us with that hidden dev, 73 overall, electric speed. This is if Troy Anderson were good for us. That's what Andrew Gillisley is. He'll move to left outside linebacker. He's got the cowboy collar rocking. 74 overall. We'll take it. So it's the start of 2025, and we already know, because I'm at the regular season now, we already know the depth trait of one of our rookies. Of course, Michael Penix Jr. will be the starter, but defensively, Brian Claybrooks has superstar dev. So that is a really, really nice draft pick for us. 77 man, 74 zone. I think the reason why it was revealed is because I changed his position to corner. That's maybe why. Of course, I have to have auto depth chart reordering still on because you actually cannot change positions in this current iteration of the game without it here from this screen. So it's a little frustrating, but makes it easier for me overall. I will have Claybrooks starting in the slot as well. So he's going to be starting strong safety, move down to the nickel. We have that personnel out there. And then Isaiah Simmons will play strong safety. So that's currently how we're planning to set things up. Ideally, I would have Ruka Rororo as a rush T tackle and then Paul Wesley instead of Braylon Trice. But I don't think I'll be able to keep that reliably. I think the CPU would probably reorder the depth chart if we make any move, which I guess maybe they wouldn't. Again, the auto reorder depth chart thing is super frustrating to me. I guess I could try a Rororo, which I feel like I sound ridiculous every time I say that, but we'll try Ruka Rororo. I just feel like I'm doing a bad Scooby-Doo impression. And then instead of Trice, we're going to go with, of course, the rookie Pierre Wesley. He's got 81 power moves. I feel like that's going to be pretty good in that role. He's only a 68 overall rush end. How are they factoring that in? I really don't know. I think it's done based on finesse moves, which doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. Either way, I want him on the field. I want potential defensive rookie of the year. He's got to play, and I'll see you guys at the midseason mark. We need Michael Penix Jr. to play really well, and I think in KC book with Kyle Pitts, who, man, Kyle Pitts is an interesting player. I don't want to be too negative, but he's certainly been disappointing, as is the start of this season, by the way, at 0-2. I was hoping that Penix Jr. and Kyle Pitts would have a Travis Kelce Mahomes type connection here in this playbook. Doesn't really seem to be the case, unfortunately. 2-4 is not good here at the midseason mark. Definitely underperforming expectations. And, I mean, it's still a very similar team, to last year. I just thought the playbooks would make more of an impact so far. But the Panthers are 5-2, and we are 2-4. likely playing a pretty similar schedule. So it's definitely a little bit weird. Are we like going to trade somebody at the deadline here? Kirk Cousins will have absolutely no value. Pitts, I mean, Levante David we brought in on like a 1-year deal. Do we just sell assets? Guess we don't really need Tyler Algier. Don't need Caden Ellis. Ray McLeod obviously has no goal on or no place on this team. However, are carrying Nathan Peterman. It's just, I don't know the value of almost everybody here. Okay, by the way, this is how I find out Andrew Gillislee has superstar X Factor. It's an insane draft pick now. Where do we have an offensive rookie? I don't think so. I think our offense was pretty good. I really need Pierre Wesley to do well. He's up to a 78 overall. Actually, let's move him probably to left end. That'll look a little bit nicer for the team. That's an insane draft pick now. Gonna trade Levante David. Gonna probably trade Caden Ellis. Brian Claybrooks having superstar is insane as well. Like, that really makes up for the normal dev trait draft pick with the first pick in Pierre Wesley. I'd love to get any type of picks back for this combination. Dion Henley would actually be sick. I might just do this. Dion Henley would be an awesome pickup. Can I get their first round pick? Not for this, but I would add in maybe a second to try and move up. Dion Henley would be a sick addition. We don't have a second currently. Maybe I just try to get a second. That'd be okay. And this might even go through. It's very close. That would be okay with me. I'd add in a fourth. And that is accepted. Tyler Algier, Levante David, Caden Ellis, and a fourth for Dion Henley, and a second. That's a great, great move for us. Instant replacement for Levante David, obviously, who was just a 1-year pickup anyway. All those were 1-year deals. And now I almost wonder, hey, do we keep Dion Henley at middle linebacker? Do I move him to the outside? I think the reason why we're going to keep him at middle linebacker is because of the contract situation. His contract is obviously going to be expiring much before the superstar X Factor that we just drafted. And when it comes to paying these guys, outside linebackers just earn way, way more than inside linebackers. So it's just financially a whole lot better for us. But superstar X Factor for Andrew Gillislee, it's a really nice pickup for us. I don't even know what is good. Run stuffer, maybe? Form tackler? I didn't even know was a thing. What a draft pick. It's an incredible pickup for us. This is actually a really good trade for us. Trading in DJ Jones, Ray McLeod for a 3rd-round pick from the Texans. Pretty good deal because those, again, are expiring contracts and just not really good players for us. So, happy to make that move happen. And I, of course, will have to re-change how the team is set up now. I think it's just starting Brandon Dorless is going to be better for us long-term anyway. How does this change our rush D-tackle situation? Trice Dorless, I wish they would get, like, hey, Paul Wesley is 270 pounds, probably isn't a defensive tackle. The cat's freaking out. Really hated that we just traded Ray McLeod and DJ Jones, and she just got to accept that that's going to be the way I'm running things now. Got to make tough moves. We've got some tough decisions to make financially. Pitts, Ebiketie, picked up A.J. Dillon. Troy Anderson's gone. No interest really in D'Angelo Malone or Bradley Pinion. We'll pick up the 5th-year option on Bijan and Darnell Wright. It's Ebiketie really is the tough one. We're going to bring back Pitts. Ebiketie for 2 years, I don't really mind. It's just, what's his ceiling? Is he really going to be able to develop very much? Highly unlikely. That might be a 2 years with intent to trade at some point, or a tag and trade type situation. Pitts we definitely want. He's just going to continue to develop well and play a big impact in the offense. Keeping him is going to be really important. Going to save the rest of the money, though. Now, I'm honestly considering, like, what if we cut Kirk Cousins right now? Again, we're not going to be able to find a trade partner. I'd really love for him to just retire. Make it really easy for me. Just retire. Not going to cut him now. Hey, I'll take this. I guess we had a linebacker dev trade upgrade. Dion Henley is now a superstar. That's pretty good. Of course, I was going like is it week 11? I think it's week 13. And you set your focus players, of course, for the draft. And that's going to be really important for us as we add a second round pick. Already projected to pick pretty high in the draft. Although not top 10 anymore. Winning some games now. Well, we were. But a loss to Minnesota doesn't really bode well for us. AJ Terrell also gained some XP. And now he's got a DB breakout part 2. Which he's not going to hit. Because they're like, what if he got 3 interceptions and 10 pass breakups? He'll get superstar dev. Stupid. So things are not going well. We had a really nice middle of the season where we won a couple games in a row. And then mostly lost everything else. Week 3 to 4 was a good stretch. Week 8 to 9, what a stretch. And then we lost many, many games in a row before finishing so strong. Goodness. KC playbook broken for me? Because this is about as bad of a result as I've really ever seen when using it. Michael Penix threw 38 touchdowns, a lot of interceptions. So maybe, he's just a really bad overall. Maybe that's going to improve next season. You'd have to hope so, because that was really, really bad. That was Bijan. Bijan probably didn't get enough touches. 4.5 yards per carry is quite good. 5 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, of course, was the most productive. Drake London next up before Darnell Mooney. Need maybe a better third receiver other than Casey Washington, I would say. And then, of course, these numbers will be skewed a little bit because we picked up, Dion Henley at the trade deadline. We traded away some starters. Pierre Wesley, 8 sacks. Could that be good enough? Dion Henley, 8 picks overall is insane. Okay. I was going to say, could that be good enough for Pierre Wesley Defensive Rookie of the Year? But now I'm curious, is Dion Henley going to be in line potentially for Defensive Player of the Year? 8 interceptions with that amount of tackles, I feel like should absolutely, at the very least, be in consideration for it. And he's currently the leader for Defensive Player of the Year. What a pickup that would be. It would be absolutely incredible. But obviously, not a playoff team. You can't really win 6 games and make the playoffs consistently, believe it or not. So, we are off to the offseason. Battle of the Birds, Eagles and Ravens in the Super Bowl. That actually could be the matchup this year in real life. Although I really don't think so. It's very possible. The Ravens and Eagles seem like they could be 2 of the best teams in their conferences, of course, especially the Eagles in the NFC. Although you have the Lions, who are really injury-riddled right now. AFC's got, I think, some more competitors overall. Ravens, Chiefs always find a way to win. The Bills. There are others. Jalen Hurts wins MVP and loses the Super Bowl to Lamar Jackson, who wins Super Bowl MVP. We do have Dion Henley winning Defensive Player of the Year. And because the Defensive Rookie of the Year is an AFC player, I suppose there's also a chance that we will have the Defensive Rookie of the Year, along with Defensive Player of the Year. That is a legitimate possibility, and we will find out in a moment if that's the case. Bradley Pinion, someone we might want to consider re-signing, and because our salary cap room has jumped to $105 million, I'm going to hope and pray that Kirk Cousins has retired. Thank goodness. It's a beautiful thing. I didn't expect it necessarily, but I'm really happy that it's happened. It's given us so much more flexibility as we pick up the 5th-year options of both Bijan and Darnell Wright, who I guess I can finally confirm what draft pick he was. I'm going to say, I think it was number 9. I think it was. Number 10. All right. Well, top 10 pick. I knew it was in that range, right? Ebiketie is 27, 79 overall. I would do a 1-year deal. I'll give you $15 million. He's going to test free agency. The tag is going to be like 30. 1 year, 25. All right. We have the money now, so I can do that. Ebiketie sticks around another year. Might consider, as we're going to extend Bradley Pinion, might consider a trade on Ebiketie. Pinion returns for 3. Not really interested in Troy Anderson or D'Angelo Malone. Never really developed very much. And that's a little bit disappointing. We never had a chance to develop them here. But in real life, I mean, I think both were third-round picks. So, you know, you would have expected or hoped for a little bit more. Maybe not expected, but hoped for a little bit more, certainly. And we'll have $78 million as we head to free agency. Mark Andrews is available. That does not work for us. Who does work for us? I can't really get that excited about Adafe Owe. Romeo Dobbs, maybe? Romeo Dobbs could be okay. Could use a backup running back. I wish Christian Harris had a better dev trait. Do we need another linebacker? We kind of do. Ivan Pace might make sense to sign. Dion Henley, a superstar X-Factor rookie. And then Ivan Pace could be a really, really nice combo. What do we need here? I mean, we have an 87 overall offense, 85 defense. It's a really nice group. Pitts, superstar dev. I think that's been upgraded. Again, we do need a wide receiver. Jake Matthews is regressing. Dion Henley, superstar X Factor. Clay Brooks went down to star. Dude. After his rookie year, what are we doing? It's really frustrating. All right. Well, it is what it is. Pace will be a good pickup. I mean, does Clay Brooks just stick at corner? He's 6 foot 225, but is 88 man, 80 zone. Enough speed to play corner. Ideally, he plays in the slot, I would say. So another corner still a need. Safety's a need. We could move him back there. But because he's so adept in man coverage, I almost wonder if keeping him at corner is the move that makes the most sense for us. And I think it actually could be. But of the available corners, I'm not super excited about any of them. And that's also the case for the available safeties. And really everybody in free agency. Very rarely do you actually see good free agents when you start from the actual week, I found. Don't know why that is, but it seems to be the trend. I don't really want Juwan Jennings. I would much rather have Romeo Dobbs, but he's going to be a little bit more expensive, which means Juwan Jennings maybe for a year makes a little bit more sense for us, and maybe we'll draft a receiver. Yeah, that's probably going to be what ends up happening. So, see if these guys end up signing or not. Ivan Pace really should be a Falcon. He is, but so is Juwan Jennings. And that's really all I'm going to be doing in free agency. Do I need a kicker? I kind of don't think so. We have Younghoe Koo. Only a 78 overall, but we have Younghoe Koo. Going to be good there. And, I mean, the rest is going to be depth. Like, I could sign a free agent running back, but they're going to be much cheaper if I go after... Really, Mark Andrews to the Bears, huh? Okay. They're going to be much cheaper if I just wait and sign somebody who's not being targeted. Although Rachaad White is fairly inexpensive for 2 years. Could bring back Algier. But I like Rachaad White as a backup. And he's going to be joining the Atlanta Falcons team as well. So good backup running back to add to what he is now in Tampa with the emergence of Bucky Irving. And we'll head to the draft, hopefully crush it. And, I mean, we know what we need. Potentially a corner. Linebacker's good. Safety. Really any DB and any defensive lineman. The offense, I think, is good. Wide receiver may be in play. We know we're building around Michael Penix. But D-line, obviously no rookie of the year for Pierre Wesley. But D-line, O-line, maybe for the future, but it's not going to be something I prioritize. D-line, DB, wide receiver probably is what I would say are the big three. Okay, checking out the mock drafts, I'm intrigued by a couple of players. Mike Mitchell here at the bottom, and I think there were like 2 wide receiver recruits. One especially rated highly, Mikey Mitchell, I want to say. Clemson? Can't remember. Either way, top 5 true talent, projected to go at the back end of the first round. Frank Dunbar looks really good as well, but so does Anthony Mason. Not to be confused with the old NBA player. 22 years old, 6'3", 196. Great speed, elite agility, acceleration, and jumping. A press, A man, B zone. I'd love to get both of those players, really. However, I would also like to get true round one talent from Texas, hook him, 6'2", 260, Dwayne Benson to replace Arnold Ebiketie. Probably will trade Ebiketie. Now, currently, Dwayne Benson is expected to fall to us. Will I have to move up? I'm slightly worried about it, to be honest. Maybe I would move up to like 6 just to jump Chicago. I don't know. Feels like it could be scary. But ideally, I come out of this draft with 3 first-round picks. Is anyone going to give me a first-round pick for Arnold Ebiketie? I highly doubt it. Interesting trade for us. Trading a 1 and a 3. 2 3s this year, actually. And a second in 2028 for number 6 and number 38 from Dallas. So to trade up just to secure the draft pick that we actually want. And also a second-round pick to hopefully move back up into the first round. It's a little bit shorter or a little bit closer together, so I think it's going to be easier to make those trades. But let's bring in Longhorn legend, probably, Dwayne Benson. Hook him, A, finesse moves, A, tackle. Also, a very solid overall athlete. And we know he's a true round 1 talent, which is a little bit better than the round 1 to 2 players around him. Even though there are some with elite athleticism in this range, like Steven Shields, I think I prefer the really good athlete that's a little bit better right away. Although Steven Shields could be the same overall. Just maybe there are a lot of guys that are 75 overall or 76 overall, and they kind of happen to mesh. But Dwayne Benson is the pickup. Welcome to Atlanta. Hopefully not. Okay, see, this is what's a little bit interesting about it. Hopefully not a normal dev player. Ranked number 17. Took him at number 6. Does have hidden dev, 85 speed, 87 acceleration. But he might not be far from Steven Shields. And he's going to be moving down to defensive end. They might be the same player in terms of overall. Let's see. Okay, making a move here back into the first round. Giving up a little bit more than I would like. It's a future first and 2 3s. 1 this year, 1 next year. No, excuse me. 1 next year and 1 the year, or a third the year after that. Not this year. No picks for this year. Future picks for number 22. This is probably going to be the corner. I want to move back up for the receiver as well. I think Anthony Mason, there's a nice lisp there. I think Anthony Mason looks really, really good. And this will give us the ability to move, the current corner back to safety, who was a safety when we drafted him. Anthony Mason looks like a freak. Could even be a top 5 player in the draft. He's actually ranked number 1 in the draft. We took him at 22. Normal dev, unfortunately. But skills-wise, obviously very good. Athletically, we knew he'd be very good. Normal dev for number 1 overall in the draft sucks. But he's the highest overall player in the draft. Where? Okay, there it is. 2 second-round picks is going to enable me to move up in the first round, and that's going to be a lot of our picks, right? If you look at our future draft picks, it looks a little bleak. I think it had to be done. I think I said it before, but a bird in the hand is worth more than 2 in the bush. We have cleared out the mid-round for 2026. We don't have a first-round pick next year. Still a second, 4th, 5th, etc. Still a first in 2028, but it has to be done. The fact that we're going to guarantee 2 top 5 players in this draft, I think, is going to be game-changing. We're going to be fixing, really, our entire secondary and our wide receiver 3, Mike Mitchell, only 5'8", 194 out of Oklahoma. But elite acceleration, agility, great speed. I mean, ran 4.26 at his pro day. A carrying is interesting. I mean, looks like he's really good with the football in his hands. Medium and short route running are really bad. I'm not sure you really call this guy a slot receiver, although that's probably where we pick him. He's the number 2 player in the draft. Wow. Also, normal development is insane. He's going to be very good, but okay, back-to-back draft picks for us. Normal dev, even though they're the number 1 and number 2 overall players in the entire draft. That is insane. With this pick, we're going to draft, and I'm going to slow this down as much as I can. If you say this name too fast, you might get into some trouble here, but Ray Pierre Important. We're going to draft Pierre here, just a D tackle, round 5. He is ranked number 128, segment 136. Also, of course, normal development. But that is going to be our draft. Kurt Queenan is an interesting name in there for the Raiders. But that's our draft. All right, 75 overall for Dwayne Benson, 79 for Anthony Mason, and 77 for Mike Mitchell. I'm not sure how good the draft class was overall. Seems like it could have been okay, but unexceptional, and that's kind of what the case is here. You know, Peter Cheeks wasn't Cheeks, one of the top 10 players in the draft. Where's this defensive end situation, right? Because 76 overall, Trent Haynes, what was his name? I think he was a top 7 pick. Maybe not. No, yeah, number 70. Only 73 overall in Steven Shields. Hidden dev, though. I don't know, looks pretty good. Very athletic. Finesse moves is just not that high, and I think that's kind of the big thing here. Awareness is a 72. Play rec is pretty low. But, like, in terms of actual talent, pretty good. Looking at this team, now that we've been upgraded through training camp, one thing stands out. I've moved Benson, by the way, to right end. Did not reveal his position. He's just played 300 snaps, I guess. Interesting. Have we played that many preseason games? I don't know. Well, we saw the superstar dev get revealed for the strong safety last season in Brian Claybrooks, but not happening for Benson. Maybe he just played 500 snaps because I had him in the slot, had him at starting strong safety. He's just getting reps. I do think, however, as you look at the interior defensive line, I do think that that's the biggest area that needs improvement. And I think Arnold Ebiketie is what gets us there. We're obviously paying him a lot of money. And the fact that the Bills are interested is actually extremely intriguing to me because although the Bills are looking to trade us a tackle, they also happen to have a pretty good interior defensive lineman on the team. The other problem with that is that they're negative $18.8 million in the hole. Ed Oliver's only an 83 overall. I would still take this trade if we can. All right. It's a possibility. That's taking a lot of money on for somebody that's not going to develop, though. I'd love to trade him to a team that has a developable defensive tackle, a developable. And that's not going to be the case here, unfortunately. Or is it? With Denver. They're not going to trade like a recent draft pick, though. Keanu Benton's a decent idea. This might be just a one-for-one swap that the Steelers outright accept. I wouldn't mind that. So I don't know what we're going to do better than Keanu Benton. I think that's going to be our best bet. Yeah, almost certainly. Yeah, it's going to be. I've checked out some of these teams already. There's just really not a good fit. Keanu Benton, although is an expiring contract to add to the team, is 25 years old. He'll have a few years of development. Obviously frees up a lot of money with moving Arnold Ebiketie. And it's not going to take a ton of picks to get it done. Ebiketie and a 5th gets us Keanu Benton. It's a big upgrade on the interior defensive line and also gives us a developable player. That's important because we're not just getting an 80 that's going to be an 80. We're getting an 80 overall that hopefully will be an 85, potentially even higher than that, and a really well-balanced player. You know, he was kind of thought to be just a nose tackle maybe coming out of Wisconsin, but flashed some pass rush upside at the Senior Bowl. And, I mean, there were some moments on tape as well, but he's been a really good player for Pittsburgh so far. Young, talented, and now an Atlanta Falcon. So the team looks a little bit better this way. I think it's fair to say. I do want Mason to be a starting corner, but he'll probably just go in the slot over Clark Phillips if that's not the case. So he's still going to play quite a bit. Ooh, Ivan Pace cannot be a rush end. I like that Benson will be. But of course it's going to be Wesley. But also Ivan Pace is not going to be a sub linebacker with Gillislee and with Dion Henley here. So, and he's a great blitzer, by the way. That was one of the things I loved about him coming out of Cincinnati, was this guy was an awesome, awesome blitzer. And I really wanted the Giants to draft him, of course. I know I'd said that quite a bit. And it feels vindicating to see, you know, that he's been a pretty good player so far in the NFL. But this is a guy who did not go drafted. And it was just so perplexing to me at the time because, you know, I thought he was a player that could get drafted inside the top 100 picks maybe. Obviously, the NFL didn't feel the same way, but he's been better than what you'd typically find as an undrafted player. He's not just someone that has made a team. He's, been even better than that. And no, we are at the start of preseason here. Does training camp give you 300 snaps? It can. Okay. That's what it is. I forgot about that. Well, there you go. They want us to cut Brandon Dorless? Hey, I'd prefer if we didn't. I don't really need Nathan Peterman, to be honest, but as a vibes guy, maybe. I don't know what the vibes are, but I guess they're there. We'll move Jace McClellan to the practice squad. I don't think we need to carry 4 running backs. In real life, obviously, it's a different conversation, but, here, I just don't think we need that many. I'm going to be really disappointed if this team does not perform the way I would expect. I mean, very casually, this team's an 88 overall. 89 offense, 87 defense. The playmakers appear to be quite good. Yeah, maybe I would prefer a better wide receiver too, but I mean, hey, money with 2 O's. Darnell Mooney's kind of been a channel legend for a while now. The O-line's great. Kyle Pitts is obviously a fixture on this team. And then the defense is really, really good in certain spots. There's some development to be done at a lot of these different spots, but there's some pretty good players. A lot of youth now, minus guys like Jesse Bates. And I'm hoping that we can actually... What is this? Hoping that we can actually see the development of some of these players as we go along. So, I just don't think Pace can be a rush end. I just don't think that can happen. Other than that, I feel really good about this team. I'm hoping to see some actual on-field results because the team's just way too good to not win. 6 wins with this team is just unacceptable. And I know we've even improved more than last year. I think West Coast spread base 4-3 is what we want. Seems to be a pretty good fit for us. That being said, you never know. It does suck, and I've complained about this a lot, but I mean, seemingly every rebuild ends up the same with, oh, we've built one of the best teams in the league and we're not winning. Let me move to Kansas City playbook. It's just the playbooks are so important when you're simulating that it has to be done, right? So I know there are some other playbooks that can be good. Feels like nothing with this level of consistency other than last year. And obviously with Kyle Pitts, Kansas City playbook makes a ton of sense. I think Cincinnati offense also does pretty well. But in terms of defensive performance, the Cowboys always do really well. And then I use Dallas playbook, and they don't do well. We're 1-5. Dude, I mean, I don't know what to do with this. The defense is terrible. Mostly, right? I mean, we're top 10 in offensive points per game, but we're allowing over 27 points a game. What's happening? 1-5. We scored more than 30 points in our first 3 games and won once. And now I've lost 3 in a row. Okay, I mean, maybe Kansas City defense is not the answer. I think I've had good success in Buffalo before. The Bucs are 5-1. Yeah, they're the best defense in the league right now. Here's the thing. Tampa runs a very different defense compared to what we have. And how much of that is who they've played, I don't know. But mostly, I am extremely disappointed. That sucks. Best defense in the league is Tampa. Jets are 3-4 as well. I believe. I mean, I'm pretty certain Tampa runs a 3-4. The Colts, I think, are a 4-3, but is Colts playbook going to be good? Almost certainly not. I kind of want to just throw on Buffalo. The Lions are 7-0. The Jets are 7-0. What's happening? Fun fact, the Jets are now in Minnesota playbook. That's interesting. I'm going to try it. I am. 4-3 Minnesota. I don't think it's going to go well, to be honest, but the stakes are really low. We're 1-5. And also, I think without our first round pick, is that true? Sure might be. That's not fun. So, if ever there was a time to make an unbelievable run, this would be the time. Also, the fact that free safety is one of the top 3 strengths of this class is mind-boggling, because that's never the case. It's corner and receiver pretty much every single time. So that's interesting, if nothing else. 146 million in cap room. And the reason is because there are a lot of free agents that are really important, including superstar corner Lamar Jackson. Could win the MVP this year. We really paid Jesse Bates $20 million plus per year for a 4-year deal at 29 years old. That's going to be age 30, 31, 32, 33. I mean, he's really good, so we kind of just need to have him back. That's kind of the problem. Is money more important, or is the player more important? If we have the money, having the player is important. I definitely want Daiyan Henley back. He's going to want more money, and we're going to be able to do it. Drake London does not want to be here. He really values the scheme fit. Are we not West Coast spread? I could have sworn we're West Coast spread. What did he want? I swear it was West Coast spread, but he's in West Coast spread, and he's like, no, I want a different West Coast spread. What is that? How come you can't re-sign from their player card? That doesn't make any sense to me either. I mean, I don't know how this scheme fit is negative when we are in the scheme that he likes. Mind-boggling. Again, Keanu Benson's going to be really expensive, but if we extend this to 5 years, which is what we want anyway, maybe even 6, it's going to be cheaper up front, which is what we want. He wants more money, though. Don't we all? Darnell Mooney's not worth 10 a year. But he's back. Welcome back, Darnell Mooney. We've got no self-control. Matthew Bergeron also doesn't want to be here. Dude, can we have anybody who's bought in? Everyone doesn't want to be here. Everyone wants more money. Here's another one. We're going to wait on Clark Phillips. I actually think Michael Penix Jr. could earn the franchise quarterback tag. We're going to wait to the offseason on a lot of these guys. So we will probably simulate week by week until I get to the focus scouting area. And then, I mean, hopefully we start to go on some type of win streak, because this is unbelievably bad right now. Although now we're actually winning games. 3-5. Green Bay is a tough team to beat in Sim. I'd love to beat them. If we beat them, then I know it's legit. If not, you know, we're going to be in the same boat that we were in. But either way, if we don't have our first round pick and we do beat Green Bay 2017, oh my goodness, it's happening. We are actually going on a playoff run right now. Okay, I mean, it could be real. Daiyan Henley is not going to change any of his interests, so definitely want to try and re-sign him during the season. But again, he wants more money. Just get a mentor at the position. Maybe I should. I don't know. It seems like it doesn't make an impact if you just add one. It seems like they have to be there. We're waiting on Bergeron, which this is going to be a problem in the offseason if these guys don't end up signing back. Dude, I don't know why it's not registering as a West Coast spread offense. That's what it is. Andrew Billings being a mentor feels nuts. Not that he can't be. It's just, you know, to me, Andrew Billings is not old. But here he's 31. So I suppose so. We're going to cut somebody. That's going to make our entire depth chart change. But we now have a mentor at defensive tackle. It might make it easier to re-sign Keanu Benson. That is the hope. So see if we can continue this win streak. This could very well end up being a playoff team. Despite a 1-5 start, we drop a game to Cincinnati. This is an 89 overall team. Our defense is getting better every week, though. But again, we've allowed 30-plus points in a game. Done that a lot this year. Although Keanu Benton, more interest. He might just outright accept the original offer of 5 years at the original figure. But I don't know why. For the life of me, it's not registering this team as West Coast spread. It's got to be just late at night, and I'm not thinking clearly. There has to be some disconnect with seeing their interests and then going into the adjust lineup screen and seeing what it is. Because to me, that says West Coast spread, and that's what it says. Does it have to be playbook ATL West Coast spread? Because that, to me, wouldn't make any sense, and it's never been that way. I'm going to go straight in. It says West Coast spread. Let me change it back out, change it back. We'll see. Yeah, I've changed it back. I even just went to ATL playbook just to be safe and see if that was the thing. Nope, just another Madden bug. And I'm sorry for all the people that love the Madden videos that are curious why I'm not uploading this game very much. If at all, almost. It's just not very enjoyable to me, unfortunately, at the moment. College Football 25 has been really an awesome game. Not without its problems as well, but overall, it really has been an incredible game and so much fun to play and to stream. Been doing that on twitch.tv/Bengal. Link, as always, is down in the description. And I love football, right? I might be more into college football right now than the NFL, and I know to a lot of you that sounds absolutely crazy. It might have something to do with Texas being, of course, one of the best teams in college football, and the Giants being very much not. Again, people always ask me why those are my two teams. Doesn't really make any sense. I'm from New Jersey. Growing up a Giants and Yankees fan makes a ton of sense in that regard. However, why am I a Texas fan? Well, I also have a lot of family in Texas, too, that went to Texas, made me a fan from very early. So even though, unfortunately, I'm not a college guy, I picked YouTube, which I can't necessarily recommend, even though it's worked out great for me. Don't be me. You're not this talented, okay? You can't play video games on camera the way I can. Clearly, being sarcastic there. But no, it really has worked out really well for me, and that's, really all due to you guys. I mean, you've given me a platform. You've let me talk football, even though many of you disregard my opinions. That's okay. There's nothing that guys care about and get more angry about than sports. So, you know what? The passion is what makes this thing great. But anyway, yeah, it's like, I know a lot of you subscribe to this channel for NFL, for Madden, and I have not necessarily delivered this year, but it's been a tough year in a lot of ways, and for this game as well. It's just really a perfect storm of suck, is what I would say. Sometimes can be a good thing, not in this particular scenario. Looking at 3 defensive tackles. I don't know if they're even good, but 3 defensive tackles get our focus scouting, and we shall simulate to the playoffs. This could be a playoff team. I mean, 5-6, if we lose 7 games, we could still be a playoff team. You lose 8 games, things start to get a little bit tougher, but it's still possible, and I think we're on the edge of possibility right now. We are edging with the playoffs. We go 8-9, that's not going to be good enough. We'd be playing the wild card. 2 big wins and scoring more than 40 points in each of our last 2 games, but it's not going to matter. 7 seed is the Minnesota Vikings. And, I mean, we showed more potential down the stretch, obviously. Tampa at 9-8 doesn't even get in, but Carolina does at 9-8. So we could have potentially won the division. Really close, really competitive. NFC South. A lot of these divisions were really close. I mean, the 8 and 9 Niners make the playoffs, get the 4 seed. That is something. But, all we can look to do is do better next season. I think the team is not the issue. Michael Penix leads the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. You'd think that he gets the franchise quarterback tag as a result. 4,800 yards, 46 touchdowns to only 13 interceptions, throwing the ball as much as we did. That's fantastic. And is it going to be in the MVP conversation? That's the question. Right now, he's got QB of the future and not franchise quarterback. That normal development is really hurting his overall. Right now, I mean, he's just over an 80. 26 years old. Hopefully, he can win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year or something and get a big influx of points or XP. That way, we can actually develop him. Bijan is doing what Bijan's doing. We're running the ball at an all-time low rate. 3 touchdowns for Bijan and 3 fumbles is crazy. But also 46 touchdowns is so many. 15 for Darnell Mooney. Truly money in the red zone. Money with 2 O's. Mike Mitchell had 8 as a rookie. 8 for Drake London on 1,100 yards. Kyle Pitts was phenomenal. And defensively, how'd we do? Well, pressure maybe wasn't the best. Dwayne Benson, I think, is going to be in the conversation with superstar dev, but in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year, although he will unlikely get to X Factor with that. He would at least retain superstar dev, you'd like to think. Superstar is fantastic, though, and I don't think he's going to get downgraded. Block shed's really high at 83. Oh, my goodness. Finesse moves is good. Power moves is great. What a well-rounded player with a really good dev trait. I'd love to see, our normal dev rookies get upgraded, but it's highly unlikely. Gillisley with 3 picks. No interceptions for our rookie corner, Anthony Mason. But he is up to an 83 overall. Great man. Zone is not even bad either. He's really well-rounded. Good speed. I don't really mind normal dev at his age. He's still going to develop fairly well. That's someone who could be a normal dev 86, 87 overall player before long. It's going to end up looking like a pretty good draft pick for us. So even though we missed the playoffs again, I'm a little bit upset about that, obviously. There's a lot to be excited about with this team moving forward. And you'd have to expect that 2027 will be a Super Bowl year. Well, I can't say that, but I read Super Bowl. Will be a playoff year at the very least. Ravens-Lions is your Super Bowl, and we'll see how much the Ravens win by. The Lions can't win a Super Bowl. They've been the worst team in the NFL over the Super Bowl era. It's got to be close. Is it the Browns? I think it's got to be the Lions. The Ravens lose. It is the Lions, 27-21 in favor of Detroit. Dwayne Benson does win Defensive Rookie of the Year, is the only Falcon to get any type of recognition. But, hey, when we go 8-9, miss the playoffs, I'm not really mad about any recognition. That's okay with me. 88 overall. I'd love to see X Factor for Dwayne Benson. I don't think it's going to happen. But 88 overall, I don't know why it dropped. We lost Jake Matthews. So Drake Matthews. Nope. Jake Matthews has retired. Mitchell still having normal dev. Kyle Pitts up to Superstar X Factor, but Michael Penix Jr. up to star. Does not win any award. Seems insane. He's 27 years old now. He doesn't have the franchise quarterback tag, which is super disappointing for re-signing players. He's playing up to a super high overall. Benson holds on to superstar. Terrell, I feel like was superstar, has been downgraded. Wesley still normal. Ruka Row still at normal. At least we have X Factors that are keeping their dev trait. But, what are we looking for? Could Wesley move inside to defensive tackle? I suppose it's possible. So any type of big-time defensive lineman that we could sign in free agency, I think would be really nice. Not Arnold Ebiketie. Somebody, legitimately really good. I'd love if Micah Parsons were available. This scheme thing is really actually pissing me off a great deal. I can't pay Drake London $30 million. What are we doing here? I'm going to have to, by the way. I really don't want to. But I don't really see that I'm going to have much of a choice. We got to keep the band together. Matthew Bergeron going to test free agency. This is how it begins. We can't re-sign the players we want to sign. This is an insane deal. But he's 26 years old. Drake London's back. That is a ridiculous contract. I'm almost sick to my stomach even offering that. But, what choice do I have? Let him go to free agency? And then it becomes a bidding war? And we still need good players? Dion Henley's back. Our money is just gone, right? That's how that goes when you hand out, $50 million to 2 players per year. You have to let a lot of these players go. Younghoe Koo will find a kicker in free agency that is super cheap. Clark Phillips I would like to have back. This is actually pretty affordable. 3 years, $8 million. He's going to test free agency. I do want to franchise tag Matthew Bergeron. We're down to $50 million. And I mean, what choice do we have? This is the risk you run when you let it actually get to the offseason with re-signing guys. They can just lock you out permanently, which, you know, sucks. But I can't just give everybody what they want. Kyle Hamilton. 22 of 32 NFL teams going after him. That's interesting. Where would Kyle Hamilton play for us? I don't think anywhere. Although, yeah, there is a spot. We could move our strong safety back to corner where he'll play in the slot. Kyle Hamilton starts at strong safety. He's the best player in free agency, which means that if we want to win a Super Bowl, Kyle Hamilton could be incredibly helpful in making that happen. Every team is offering him a huge contract. Arizona, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Chargers. Gosh. We need a kicker. We could use a corner, obviously. Get Cam Little. Going to be cheap enough. And I mean, I'm disappointed in how I think this is going to go for us with Kyle Hamilton, but, you know, we're giving it a good run. And we'll come back for a corner later. It's not super important. Jonathan Allen for a year is not worth $20 million to me. Hamilton to the Cardinals. Same with Elton Jenkins. Oh, we do sign Cam Little. Wow, whoop-de-doo. What a deal for us. Maybe we'll bring in Rasul Douglas. 1 year, up the money a little bit. And Rasul Douglas probably will end up signing that. And he is a Falcon. All right. Need D tackle. It would have been nice to get Kyle Hamilton. It's just, it wasn't to be. Ooh, corner. Projected top 5 overall, number 1 overall, and is a top 5 talent. There are multiple top 5 talents. 3 of them are corners. That's and the cat, she's like, yeah, it's a Madden 25 experience. Pretty pissed about it, and I can't blame her, to be honest. Now, I will say, though, Glenn Smallwood, or that's not his name. Reading would be helpful. Greg Smallwood, also from Utah, like Clark Phillips, is projected to go outside of the first round, yet is a top 5 talent. Definitely a player we want to potentially consider. Ooh, is Kier Singleton actually a freak D tackle? He's a run stopper, which means that block shedding is likely a B. A finesse moves, B power moves, A tackle. Elite athlete. Is there any way I can possibly move up to number 1? Highly unlikely. Highly, highly unlikely. I bet the other corner is expected to go first round. Yeah, there he is. Number 32. Ooh, he actually doesn't really even look that good. Look, how is he a top 5 talent? Is he a safety, really? I mean, he's fast. He can't play man coverage. He's got A hit power. Kind of just looks like a safety. There's literally no chance that we're going to be able to move up to number 1, which obviously, that makes sense. But what we can potentially do is jump the Lions. Who do the Lions lose to? The Ravens. Give me 31. I will give you 48 and a future 3. That feels like a good trade for you. You got to wait a little bit to cash in. I bet I'll add in a 4th this year and a 4th next year. All right, that's a lot. But that trade is accepted. It's a trade up from, what, 48 to 31? I mean, we gave them a decent bit. And I'm hoping that the player we want will still be available. And it sure looks like he's going to be. Kier Singleton did go number 1 overall. And Greg Smallwood is still available. Top 5 talent. We're going to find a spot for him. It's worth the trade up, in my opinion. He's going to be like a 76 overall, probably, or something close. Maybe a 77 if we're lucky. He's ranked number 5. That makes sense. He does have hidden dev, 92 speed, 95 acceleration. The man coverage is going to be bad, probably. Like 67-ish, maybe lower. Something around 67, I would bet. But the zone coverage is good. We really could just move him back to strong safety and feel pretty good about it. Greg Smallwood is a 77 overall. Does have hidden dev, of course. 66 man coverage, 77 zone. just makes me want to move him to safety. He's going to be playing man coverage, a little bit less there, of course. And our current strong safety has pretty awesome man coverage, as Smallwood drops to a 76. I just don't know that this draft was all that good. I bet the number 1 overall player was quite good. Ooh, it's tight end Ray Rutland. Ray Rutland is an 80. Really solid overall player. Doesn't look spectacular, but of course he's a rookie. 80 overall is obviously really good. Kier Singleton is, really well-rounded. Really solid. And I know they can't be in every draft class. I just wish we would see more generational, or at least like fringe generational players. Like, I'd love to see more 80s, right, coming out of the draft. I feel like every draft could have an 80, or something comparable. And I'd love to see every, 5 or 10, or really every 5 probably, on average, have, an 85 plus. I mean, there are rookies that come in and just are the best players in the league already. Like, look at Brock Bowers, for example. You want to talk about high-rated tight ends. So, here's the deal. When doing this O-line drill, or starting it, something has been brought to my attention that I had previously neglected. You're going to be like, how did you forget about this? You just talked about it. Well, I'm glad you asked. Jake Matthews has retired. We don't have a left tackle. That is a problem preseason, believe it or not. And I don't know what the solution's going to be. There's only so many things you can trade. There's only so many players that are going to be available. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, actually. So, also to report, Mike Matthews did get up to star dev in training camp. It's not really that big of a deal, but it is something. So, figured I would tell you that. Cool. Well, we got star dev on the receiver. I much would have preferred for it to be on this corner, and we're definitely not going to see 2 depth trade increases in the same training camp. Such is life, unfortunately. I feel like a third receiver just is not as impactful as a third corner. Yeah, you're going to see, statistically speaking, you're likely to see them on the field the same amount of snaps per game over a season. But I don't know. I just feel like it's not going to matter as much. But for a slot corner to really get upgraded and play better in sim versus, I don't know, a slot receiver that's just going to perform well anyway, it is what it is. All right, is Brian Claybrook back at corner not even worth it? I mean, he's got such great man coverage. Is he going to be CB1? Is this too much of a downgrade overall? We have AJ Terrell. He's not better than AJ Terrell. He's going to be our second highest rated corner. We signed Rasul Douglas. We drafted Smallwood, but he's only a 76 overall. Is the team overall worse like this? It probably is. So I'm going to move that corner back to strong safety. And I just think we're better that way. Brian Claybrooks is a really good player. Really versatile. Just probably most impactful for us at strong safety. We have 2 good corners outside of that. The rookie can just get developed in behind him. See the field occasionally and still be good. I think this is best. Now, you'll notice we don't have any left tackle. This counts as nobody. There's got to be something here with the Bears. They have Braxton Jones. They have Derek Hillman, who doesn't start. Nah, he probably starts. They've got a freaking play-by-play guy at right tackle. They're just asking a little bit too much for Derek Hillman. The actual price tag might not be as significant. I mean, I could almost certainly get Braxton Jones. Do I just do that? How about a second-round pick for Braxton Jones? Okay. What about... I give you a first-round pick for Derek Hillman. I would. Number 16. I don't need a first-round pick this year. Bang. All right. I almost wonder if I could have got him for less. Either way, that would have been a good thing to test, probably. It's a first-round pick for an upgrade at left tackle. He's very young. Like, would you be comfortable with the first-round pick taking a 22-year-old 79 overall tackle? I would. So just think about it that way. And it feels like a pretty good trade. So that's what we've done. Star dev. And our team actually stays pretty good. Not having a left tackle, I think, could have been a pretty big issue. We have Stephon Gilmore? Nope. Who are you? That's Stephen Gilmore. That's right. Close, but not really. Dude, this Falcons team is just like, we're going to make it seem like we're so good. We have S. Gilmore. We have Lamar Jackson. We have, I'm like, dude, you're not fooling anybody. I mean, maybe for a second, but oh, Stephen Gilmore's crazy. All right, let's actually make the playoffs, huh? We're an 89 overall. Maybe Ivan Pace is just a rush end for us. That feels not good, but he's got a high overall there. He's fast. It feels like a bad idea. 5'11", 231. I don't know what his usage is. I don't know what the actual usage is of these rush ends in the game. It feels like they probably would come on the field fairly often. I mean, Wesley's going to start at defensive end, but I mean, getting a better designated pass rusher might not be the worst idea, but I guess we're locked with Ivan Pace. This is what the team looks like, and I'm expecting, I mean, if we won 12 games after not making the playoffs every year this thing, I genuinely would not be very surprised. If we were undefeated at the midseason mark, I would not be very surprised. But if we win 2 games up to that point, I'd be like, all right, that makes sense too. Sim can just be so random and not rewarding. It's tough. Right in the middle, 3-3. Our offense seems to be really good. Our defense is not especially good. Are we not going to make the playoffs again? That would be pretty devastating. 91 overall team, huh? Only 37 mil to spend here. Don't want Rachaad White back. Really, the top 3 are the most important. Bijan wants to be here because he's a great team player. Hook him. Love Bijan. And you know what? He's definitely going to be at the Texas game. Texas ASU, I think, is in Atlanta. So I would... Well, I don't know about definitely, actually. Does Atlanta have a game? I mean, it's the night before. It's in the same city. You'd think he'd be able to show up to that one. I don't know. Darnell Wright wants more money. Bergeron's going to be tough, potentially. We don't really have the money to make that happen. One of those guys can get franchise tagged. If we can just extend Darnell Wright and then franchise tag Matthew Bergeron, that could be the way to do things. Kind of game the system a little bit. Save money by getting rid of anybody. Not really. Okay, well, we've made the playoffs. That's a nice, not even really a surprise. I mean, we were 3-3. We were completely in line to make a run. Lost to the Patriots, Packers, Texans. And it's not like the second half of the season was anything spectacular. Lost 4 games. We won more than we lost, obviously, but we did well enough to make the playoffs at least. So that is definitely a nice change compared to where we've been the last couple of seasons. Michael Penix is dominating. And I started this recording before his NFL regular season debut against the Giants, and I'm ending it after that game has happened. He made some plays. He was all right. And, I mean, definitely better than what you've seen from Kirk Cousins lately. I think Penix could definitely be a really productive player. A lot of weapons in that offense. You know, you see this team, there is potential there. And Penix was highly productive at Washington. So there's absolutely something here. And Bijan had a fantastic season, averaging well over 5 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. Mike Mitchell, as I said, anyone in the slot's going to produce. He's a very good athlete. Deep route running is great. The hands are really developing. But the fact that he outproduced Kyle Pitts so significantly is a little surprising. But everyone was highly productive in this offense, to be fair, when you factor in that there were really 4 different mouths to feed. Dwayne Benson, 16 TFLs, 8 sacks would lead the way. Not really getting much in the way of pressure. But at least we're getting interceptions. So forcing turnovers. Why is J.D. Bertrand playing this much? I don't know. Well, he was all right. Doesn't actually even look too bad, making an impact in his limited snaps. But we have so many good linebackers. It's just, why is he playing? It's a little confusing. We are in the wild card. Our defense is still not very good. I really think that Ivan Pace should not be a rush end. I'm going to make that change. Give me Pierre Wesley in that spot. He's up to a, what does that say, a 75 overall in that role. They just love finesse moves. It's a 90 overall on the other side with Dwayne Benson. And we're going to see if we can beat Tampa Bay. I mean, it's a significant overall advantage, which doesn't always mean anything, but we do win. Okay, 21-17. And we're going to face the Niners in the divisional. Winner of this takes on an NFC North opponent, whether it be the Lions or the Packers. Remains to be seen. And we're actually going to hop in here. The Niners are an 86 overall, still probably with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. You'd think still McCaffrey. And here we go. Who has the ball? Us. Oh, it's at the bottom there with the arrow. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that. I don't think I've ever looked at it. This is a fantastic start to this game, by the way. 28-3. I don't think there's any way we could ever blow a lead like that. Not the Falcons. And we hold on. 28-10. Can you imagine blowing a lead like that? Not in this video, that's for sure. 4 touchdowns for Michael Penix. What a performance. And it is the Packers who advance. I honestly thought it was going to be the Lions based on what we had already seen in this video. But the Packers maybe pull off the upset. Is there an F in upset? Where did I pull that from? They pull off the upset. I've done it again. Pull off the upset. I'm going to edit it out. But then you guys, I know you guys don't think so, but I'm just like you guys. I make mistakes sometimes, right? I'm not perfect despite what everybody thinks. Let's see if we can win here. Take the lead after going down by 3. We're allowing only field goals. You can win a game most times if you allow only kicks to go in. 13-6. Fourth quarter, 20-6 is over. Congrats on a great season, Green Bay. That was a great try. Michael Penix outplaying Jordan Love and sending this team to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl will be against the Ravens. I could tell when we simulated the week, it said, hey, Super Bowl against the Ravens. So good at reading. Another one of my many talents. 10-7 against 10-7. Another bird battle. Here we go. Falcons, Ravens. All right. I don't mind this, to be honest. They're an 87 overall. It's good, but we, exceed that by quite a lot, actually. Let's win a Super Bowl in the Battle of the Birds, as I've dubbed it. Exciting game so far. We're up 7-0. Not early, though, as it's the end of the game, basically. 7-7. Baltimore up 10-7. 1:02 on the clock. 2nd and 3. Okay, well, we're in striking distance. Field goal already on the table, right? Nice catch from Mitchell. That's almost a guarantee. Now, what becomes maybe a little bit more difficult, that's a lot of time off the clock. How do I keep forgetting that that's going to happen? Becomes a little bit more difficult is guaranteeing a touchdown. And that was awful, whatever that was. Probably not going to outrun Nate Wiggins in coverage, I would bet. We find an easy throw anywhere. Just don't know how I feel about the time. That's an easy throw. There's Darnell Mooney. Call timeout. Money with 2 O's. Not playing for the field goal. This is the Super Bowl. Do you want to give Lamar Jackson and the Ravens the football back? I don't think so. 20 seconds. Going to Mitchell. Hero from last game. Diving down to the 1. Good spot, by the way. Oh, my goodness. Mike Mitchell could win us a Super Bowl. Ravens have a lot of players in the box overall, but who are we actually afraid to run on here? We will keep it on the ground. Bounce it outside. Back inside. Bijan Robinson touchdown. Get your horns up, brother. Going to be 14-10. the Ravens will need a touchdown in the final 12 seconds of this game. Otherwise, we're taking home a Super Bowl for, I believe, the first time in Falcons franchise history. I think the only Super Bowl they've ever played in. I'll be nice to Falcons fans. I'll just say they didn't win it. Did they ever have another game where they played in one? I'm like 99% sure they've never won another one. I'm only like 90% sure that they've never played in another one. Either way, 8 seconds remain. They do have timeout, so they can go quick to the outside. I'll tell you, though, the CPU has some fascination with throwing it away in these spots. I'm not complaining for the sake of victory. I do like winning. But, yeah, it kind of hurts the immersion a little bit if the CPU just goes absolutely brain dead. That's the ball game. The Atlanta Falcons are Super Bowl champions here in Miami. I think this is Hard Rock. Made a lot of nice pickups. But at the end of the day, it's Michael Penix Jr. who leads the Falcons to a Lombardi. It's a very interesting thing, you know. I really did not like the draft pick at the time because they paid Kirk Cousins all that money. But if you really feel so strongly about Michael Penix Jr., you take him top 10, even if he's a really old rookie. I mean, you still might have him for, 4 or 5 years in that first deal. That could be his prime. So, ideally you'd like more time to develop at the NFL level at, 21, 22 years old. But, if he can end up being a franchise quarterback for you, who cares if you drafted him at 24 or 21 or, you get a little bit crazy there. You start talking about drafting a guy maybe at 26, 28 years old, like Brandon Weeden. It's just so tough. The transition from college to the NFL is one that takes years, right? And if you draft, a 28-year-old quarterback and you get him for their age 28, 29, 30, 31 seasons, it might take them 3 years to even adjust to the NFL speed. You got to go through progressions quickly. You got to get the ball out on time, on target, as we always say. Interceptions for Henley and Anthony Mason. But at the end of the day, Penix could end up being a franchise-level quarterback for the Falcons. And if all goes well, you might see a similar result to what you just saw here. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.